Well, g'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds. Well, 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 g'day curd nerds. Welcome back to another episode of Ask the Cheeseman. And this is where you can ask all your home cheese making questions. The episode 96, so close to 100, which is very scary, isn't it? So a few people to thank today. We've got some new YouTube members and patrons. So first YouTube member is Chris Mayer. Thank you, Chris, for your membership. Really do appreciate it. And patrons, new patrons this week, Sam Wilkinson. Thank you, Sam. Really appreciate it, mate. And Steve Matter. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate your patronage. Okay, lots of people on the chat, which is fantastic. And you probably see Holly the dog in the background there. She'll be doing whatever she does in the in the background. But it's lovely to see so many people here on the stream today. Let me see, what's it saying? Is it saying everything's okay? Yep. Cool. Okay. So let's say a few hellos for the early starters. We had people here half an hour to 40 minutes before the show started. That is keen. That is really keen. Well done. G'day to Jordan, the Archer, Adam, John, Cora, Felicia, Artie Frog, Paul, Ruth. G'day, Ruth, and thank you for your very early super chat. Yes, we missed you too. And thank you very much, Ruth, for that lovely email that you sent me yesterday. Big feedback around the Curd Nerd Academy course that I've got up online. You can find that over at courses.littlegreenworkshops.com.au. And yes, Ruth gave me some really great feedback, which I'm going to try to incorporate into the course. It needs some more fault finding and that sort of stuff. Troubleshooting sort of cheese making videos. So I'll see what I can do there. Okay. Also, g'day to Kim. Thank you. The lovely Kim is moderating today, so she's moderating the show. So all the naughty boys and girls don't disturb the chat. Energy. G'day, Jim. Larry, Deep South Texas. Adin Arose. I don't know. But Craig. Hello, Craig. Lovely to see you again. Patricia, lovely to see you. Jonathan. Have I missed anybody? Aga. Jeff. Kevin. And goodness me, heaps more. That'll do. And we got lots of questions. So let's get started. Oh, a couple of things. If you want your chat to be prominent, don't forget there's a super chat, little $ at the bottom of the chat. Not on mine, but on yours. And you can get your question highlighted. Go to the top of the queue and I'll answer it straight away. The cottage cheese fail video will be released this weekend. I'm still working on it. It's very hard to do comedy. I don't know if any of you have tried your hand at comedy. I know I'm a sort of a comical sort of figure, but it's difficult to do a comedy video, which my never-ending saga of making cottage cheese really is. It is a comedy. I'm also doing a collaboration with Larry from Deep South Texas around American cheese. Done some initial work. Larry's done some initial work as well. And that'll be coming together soon, probably sometime near the end of April. But there's no pressure. We'll get it done when we get it done. But it's looking good so far. I never thought I'd say this, but I'm actually going to make some processed cheese for all those people out there who have asked how to make American cheese. We don't have it here in Australia, so I'm just going to be winging it, basically. I'm leaning heavily on Larry for consistency and all that sort of stuff, and we'll just see what happens. But I've got a basic process, and we're going to see what we can get out of it. Okay, that's it for updates, and let's get on with the show. So, first question, Felicia says, hi, I made small bowls of ricotta and coat it with herbs like oregano, basil, parsley. How long can I store ricotta like that if I brine it with oil and put it in the fridge? As long as it's got some salt in it, Felicia, you can probably store it in the fridge like that in oil. I'll say a couple of months, easy. Yeah, no problems at all. Because you're excluding the air from the cheese, and that's what makes it go mouldy and all that sort of stuff. So, just a tip when you're putting stuff into oil in the fridge, olive oil at about 4 degrees Celsius tends to go solid. So what you need to do is do a 50% olive oil, 50% either sunflower oil or canola oil, and that'll stop your oil from going solid in the fridge. And if you've used olive oil, it's no big deal, because what you can do is you just set it at room temperature before you eat it, and it goes back to a liquid again. So there's a tip. John says, how would you incorporate whiskey into a cheese? John, some of the recipes that I've seen, you basically let the curds, before you press them, soak in the whiskey, and they absorb that alcohol and the flavour from the whiskey, and then you press the curds. And hopefully they'll all stick together and it'll all be good. So that's the best way to do it. Artie Frog, what's my favourite cheese to make and eat? All the cheeses. I've only come across one or two that I don't really like, and they're mainly processed ones, but we'll see where we go from there. Paul says, are there any cheeses that you have made or would like to make that you would prefer to press at higher weights if you had a stronger tension spring for your press? A 44 kilo press instead of a 22 kilo. Yeah, so I'd like to press my Parmesan at a higher weight, definitely. And also the cheddar recipe that I have, I don't think I press that enough, because usually there is some mechanical holes, so I'd like to press that at a higher weight. That'd be quite good, and definitely close up those mechanical holes, so it's just a consistent pace throughout. However, I've seen cheddars that commercial cheddars that have that same sort of thing. Ruth says, what do you do when the pH is more acidic than the recipe says, like 4.2? 4.2 is quite extreme, very acidic. Depends on the cheese you're making, Ruth. If you're trying to make pasta filata cheese, then it won't stretch. If it's if the curds are at that pH, what you could do is you could get away with actually washing the curds. So dip the whey off to the level of the curds if that's the stage you're at. And basically, so dip all that off, throw that whey away, and then replace that with warm water and keep the curds at a consistent temperature, whatever your target temperature is. And that should get rid of some of the acid within the cheese, and the acidity will go down back towards 7 somewhere. So that will work. That's why those washed curd cheese, why they do that with those washed curd cheeses. Okay. Ruth says, have I ever made a cheese called Epoise? I think that's how you pronounce it. Would you consider making a video? I've heard it's a very stinky cheese. Kim just loves those stinky cheeses in the cheese cave. That's a not. She doesn't love them at all. So yeah, look, I can give it a go. I'll write on the. I've written it on the list before. It never got to the top of the list due to the stink factor. But I'm sure I can give it a shot. Just have to eat it earlier. Energy Max says, Must learn cheese making and take my pizza food to another level. Indeed, everybody should learn how to make cheese. That's just me. Jim says, "G'day from Oakland, California." G'day, Jim. More hellos going on here. Jordan says, "Can I freeze raw milk or raw cream, and also way to use at a later date to make cheese?" Look, I have received milk that's been frozen before and used it to make cheese, but it's only been frozen for the journey, so like a day or two. I don't know how milk holds up when you freeze it for more than, say, 14 days. I'm not sure. With cream, it actually splits, so don't freeze the cream without adding something. Reason ice cream doesn't split is because they add a chemical called polysorb 80 to it, and that reduces the ice crystals and stops the ice cream from splitting. So raw cream would split. Whey would probably do the same. Whey is usually best used for cheese making before 3 hours of making the whey. So you should use it straight away to make the whey cheese. Okay. And Kim said g'day, and everybody else has said g'day. And Kevin said, "Making bel paese as we speak, but we only have Thermo C. Will this still work?" Let me just go and find Thermo C. 2 seconds. I don't have it at hand. Yep, hang on. Just looking for all of the goodness. So, on our page, Thermo C, let's have a look. The Thermophilics, Thermo Type C. What cheese we making? Hang on, let me have a look. Bel paese. Yeah, that would work. It's very similar to Type B. Different strengths, different adjunct culture there. You can use it for smoother cheeses. Yeah, so definitely. So it actually the proteolic, more proteolic than an ST strain. Right, cool. So what it'll do, it'll break down the proteins better and make it more creamier. So that would be fine. So yes, use Thermo C, Kevin. Patricia said, "When I made Wensleydale this weekend, a lot of butterfat came out onto the spoon while stirring and also out the basket during the pressing. Should I be worried?" Probably not. I often get little bits of fat on the spoon itself. I find that if I'm using unhomogenized milk and the cream has gone a little bit solid and you try to whisk it back into the milk and not all of it incorporates back in, that's when you'll see the fat sticks to the spoon, the handle of the spoon, and you see a little bit run out. So you can't incorporate that thick cream back into the milk. So that's what happens with me, Patricia. So I don't worry about it personally. Not too much escapes the press. If there's too much coming out during the initial pressing, then ease off on your pressure because you're pressing it too heavily. So Adam says, "Good morning from Perth. Gavin, I love your videos and the shop. How far in advance do you make your favourite cheeses so you don't run out?" Good question, Adam. Because all my cheeses are my favourite cheeses, I tend to age them longer. So like I'll, because I make so much, excuse me, need a coffee. Because I tend to age them so much, and I make so much, the quantity's quite large. I mean, there's only got 3 of us here at home, so I'm not going to eat all the cheese. So for the taste test, I'll cut off a quarter and then I'll leave the other quarter, and we'll use that to eat over the next few weeks. And then the other half, I basically vacuum pack, and I store that back in the cheese cave to age longer if it's a semi-firm or a firm cheese. So nice and easy. And then what I do is I'd use that as our ready store, and I'll go and take the cheese out of the cheese cave and, yeah, do that way. So that's how I do it. I don't eat it all at once. That's how I do it. But good question. Jordan asks, a lot of recipes call for 8 litres of milk or 2 gallons US, which is more like 7.58 litres. Is it okay, or do I need to buy an additional litre to make up the difference? No, look, 2 gallons is fine. 500 mils of milk is not going to make a heck of a difference in the cheese making recipes. So if you use 2 gallons, Jordan, then that's fine. It'll work perfectly well. Don't worry about it. Sale Nugget says, not cheese related, but is the milk in a bowl of cereal a broth or a sauce? What? No. Okay. Right, moving right along. Goodness me, there's so many questions. Paul says, hello, Gavin. Maybe an idea for others. I picked up a used crock pot at a garage sale and dedicated it to waxing, which is 20 centimetres by 15 centimetres deep. 2 dips per coat, easy and a lot less mess. Yeah, definitely, Paul. Those crock pots or slow cookers or whatever you want to call them are really good because you can put it on the lowest setting, and that melts the wax and keeps it at about between 70 and 90 degrees Celsius. So as long as it doesn't go over 100, it's fine. So that's all good. But yeah, good tip. Ruth saying hello to Holly. Yeah, cool. Scott says, hi, Gavin. Really enjoy your videos. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Jonathan says, have you ever made a wine to pair with a cheese you have made? No, unfortunately, I don't make wine. I do have grapevines out the back, which I planted 7 years ago with the intention to make wine. Now, problem is, I planted 2 Merlot vines, and in the meantime, I've become red wine intolerant. So if I have a glass of red wine, I get a headache straight away, and that still happens today. So unfortunately, I won't be making any Merlot. Even though the vines are now ripe and I get a decent crop, I probably would be able to make about 2-3 litres of wine from the grapes off the 2 vines. So, yeah, all that planting 7 years ago kind of mucked it all up for me, but what can I do? All right. So no, I don't make any wine to pair with my cheese. I'll have to find a local winemaker. We don't have too many around here. There are local wineries in the hills just to the north of us. So yeah, there are some nice wines too. Excuse me. Oh, I don't sneeze in ones. Right, here we go. Jordan says, Gavin, how do you regulate the heat when the recipe calls for heating very, very slowly over 30 to 40 minutes? Okay. Good question, Jordan. What I do with my setup, and it's unusual, I have a pot on top of a little pot, and the little pot has water in it. And what I do, I put it on my smallest burner on the stovetop, and I set that at the lowest setting. So it's just boiling. And then using that, I can then regulate the heat very easily. It slowly heats up, probably 1 degree Celsius every 5 minutes, which is 2.2 Fahrenheit, roughly, per 5 minutes, and then it goes up. Now, if I find it's accelerating too fast, simply turn off the heat and let the steam do the work. And about 2 or 3 minutes before the end, I just turn the heat off. Now, you can regulate it a lot easier these days with the invention of the sous vide. So you can use those sous vide wands and put your pot in a big water bath, whether it be a sink or a big basin or what have you. Put the sous vide wand in, and you just adjust the temperature on the little knob that it has on there, or you can do an app on Wi-Fi and stuff. I've actually been looking at purchasing a sous vide to check it out to see. They're quite expensive though. The small one is $150 Australian, and the expensive one, I don't know, I think it's the original one, is $250. So yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about getting one, but then I'd have to find a basin to put my 3-gallon pot in as well. So that could be a bit of an issue. Okay. Jordan says, another question. Jordan's got many questions today, but that's fine. Can you use non-iodized salt but with anti-caking agents in your brine solution for semi-hard and hard cheeses? Yes, you can. Definitely. I use just the cheapest table salt I can get that's non-iodized, and I use that for all my brine solutions. Scott from West Idaho. G'day, Scott. Kevin has a question. Have seen, I think, Wensleydale, but almost looks like marble with green or red lines between the curds. Do you know how this is done? Yes, Kevin, if you have a look at my Sage Derby is the video I'm thinking of. I used just sage, but I've heard that these days they use spinach juice, which is a lot greener. And what you do, you soak your curds in the spinach juice just before pressing, then drain them off, add the salt, so mill the curds, and then press them. And then you'll get green lines all between them. The red line ones are usually port wine, and you can do the same thing for port wine, soak them. Just make sure that you keep the curds warm during that process. If the curds cool down too much, they will not hold together when you press them. So just be careful of that. Yeah, so hopefully that answers your question, Kevin. Ruth says, not fault finding, Gavin. The Curd Nerd Academy is awesome. Just humble suggestions. I recommend the course. Oh, no, definitely, Ruth. No, thank you. Yeah, no, your email wasn't fault finding. It was, I should put more fault finding tips and troubleshooting tips into the course, which I totally agree with. There should be more of that in there. So I need to put something in there for people who, whether it be the existing video that I have that's called When Cheese Goes Bad or something like that, just to give people that comfort level that if their cheeses don't turn out okay, or they think it's going astray, or the process is not working for them, that there's some level of comfort that they will be able to either recover from that issue, or they'll just simply be able to eat it and as it is. Some of the disasters I've made, eat them, they're good. Okay, cool. Eddie says, hi Gavin, the legend cheesemaker. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Deep South Texas says heathens. Yes, those heathens. Thanks, Larry. That's an in-joke between Larry and I. You'll see when we make the collaboration video. Anyway, Clem says, will your pecorino be good for carbonara? Oh, my goodness, it is. When I made the pecorino romano from the sheep's milk, and I've still got some of that somewhere in the cheese cave maturing, it was mind-blowingly amazing. So I actually made some pasta carbonara. I think I used really thick spaghetti. I don't know what it's called. Fuselli or something like that. Anyway, it made the best carbonara that I'd ever had. It was just excellent. Energy to Demax says, drunken cheese, nice. Yes, drunken cheese is very nice. Mozzarella #1 for pizza. It is if you make traditional mozzarella. So that works. Oh, we've got a super chat. And who's this from? This is from Jordan. Thank you, Jordan. Hang on, I'll just stop the flashing light. Hang on, let's do an extreme close-up. There we go. That's just for you, Jordan. All right. It's all the colours are gone funny. Out of questions now, but we'll be signing up for your Curd Nerd Academy next week. Special thanks to you and Kim and this community. Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate it, mate. Okay, back to the other questions. Louis said, oh no, was this Eddie? Give me a shout out, please, Sir Gavin. Gab. Gab. I'll get the gift of the Gab. Hello, how are you, Eddie Harden? Hope you're doing well today and eat lots of cheese. Louis says, yo, Gavin, what do you think about putting olive oil around Parmesan for maturing? Mine is 1 month old and keeps getting mold. Should I wash with brine or keep it moldy or put olive oil or something? Okay, so typically the hard cheeses, like Parmesan, like Romanos, whether it be with sheep's milk or cow's milk, yes. So after about a month, and it depends on the size of the cheese. The problem with home cheese makers is we can only make small rounds of cheese, mostly. And they tend to dry out, the longer age ones like Parmesan and Romano, as I mentioned. Now, at about a month, instead of wiping it with brine, you can basically, that mold should be dry. The surface of the cheese, the rind, should be fairly dry. You can give it a coat of olive oil. So just use a soft cloth and dip it in olive oil and wipe it all over, and that'll keep the mold off for about a week. And you can keep doing that weekly for about another month if you wish. So that's 4 more times. And then because it tends to dry out very quickly, at about between 1 month and 2 months, I tend to vacuum pack my Parmesans because they really do dry out way too much. So that's how I get away with it and stops the mold from growing and all that sort of stuff. Eddie says he's been a subscriber since 1,000 subscribers. That's a long time ago. I think I'm up to, goodness me, I don't even know. I think it's about 138,000 or pretty close to 139,000 subscribers now. Thank you, Eddie, for being with me on this journey. Appreciate it. Bart says, g'day from Winnipeg, Canada. Spring has finally sprung, 16 degrees Celsius here after snow yesterday. I really enjoy your recipe videos, how you use your cheeses in recipes, any more of those in the works. No, not at the moment. The YouTube gods don't seem to smile favourably on anything. This is what I found, just looking at analytics. So the highest views or people enjoy, I would think, are the making videos. Obviously, they're the hero content of the channel, and they're the stuff that everybody loves to watch. So, for instance, the Shropshire Blue that I made a couple of weeks back, or longer than that now, is up to over 50,000 views, and that's just in a mere 3 weeks. It's gone crazy and really has made the channel grow even further. The Borson video that I made, the homemade Borson, is over 20,000 views now. So the making videos are the ones that people seem to enjoy more. The taste test videos, the ones that I taste from the cheese that I make, people seem to really like those as well, and they really do watch those. The ones that people don't enjoy and the YouTube gods hate and they don't promote at all are the tasting commercial cheese videos. Don't ask me why. The live streams are only watched by a few, which is great, and it's a great little community. I really love it. I'll never stop doing the live streams. They're really good. And the cooking videos, YouTube actually hates. Well, people don't like as much. If they want that, they'll go to a proper cooking channel and do that and get it. So, unfortunately, but that's kind of where it sits. It really does muck up the views and the promotions on YouTube. So unfortunately, I won't be making any more of those making things with my cheese videos. I'll leave those to the professional cooking channels. Jim says, my curds from Cheshire, and that's how I say it, or Cheshire. How's that sound? It's my best English accent. Had a hard time knitting. Pressed them an extra 12 hours. It knit, but I can still see lines in the curd. I waxed it, and guess I'll find out in 6 months how it turns out. The only thing I can think of is the water in the sink when I was cheddaring was too hot. Any thoughts? No, it shouldn't. The extra heat shouldn't do too much to it. If it was cold, then I would have been worried, because usually when the curds are cold, they don't knit together well. When they're warm, that's okay. Too hot, they start to melt. But they should be okay. I've actually done it. So when I made my marbled cheddar, I got the same sort of issue because my curds were a little bit too cold. So we've got another super chat there. I'm not sure who that's from. That's from Ruth again. Goodness me, Ruth. I'll just stop that. There we go. Thank you, Ruth, for your super chat. Really appreciate it, as always. And I'll get back to that other question in a second. Ruth said, since the challenge, I've been inspired to buy cheeses and taste them to get different ideas if I want to make it. It is fun. Thanks for that. No problems at all, Ruth. I don't know if I'll do another challenge. Even the weekly keep calm and eat cheese videos, they're struggling. People, I know about 1,000 people watch them out of the 139,000 subscribers. Very, very low percentage of people watch them, and they don't get promoted by YouTube at all, which is pretty sad. So that's a bit of an issue. Okay. Now Kim's doing lots of links there. I don't know why, but I'll get to that in a second. So as far as the pressing, Jim, all I can think of is weight. Maybe there wasn't enough weight to close the rind. Have a look at that. But if you think you were using enough weight, then there's not much we can do about it. It'll turn out okay. As long as you've waxed it, it'll hold together. I probably would have vacuum packed it to help close up the rind a little bit more if you had that. But if you don't have that facility, then waxing's equally as good. Okay. Adam's talking to Jordan. That's cool. Jim and Ruth are talking to each other as well. Daxian says, what's my opinion on brown cheese Brunost or Brunost? I've made Myost, I think that's how you pronounce it, before, from whey, and that's a brown cheese from Scandinavia. And it was quite nice, very sweet, because when you boil the when you boil the whey or reduce the whey over a period of about 6 hours usually, you find that all the lactose in the whey gets left behind, so it's very sweet. It's a sweet cheese. I like it. It was very nice. I probably would add a little bit of cream to it next time to stop it from firming up into a really solid block, which I found when I made my version. There's a video for it somewhere. I don't know if Kim has put that up, the link up. I'm not sure. Jeff says, hi Gavin, are you planning to make Taleggio cheese? I just cut into one. I made it and it turned out really great. Jeff, I was kind of put off by the Taleggio that I had on the Cheese a Day challenge. It smelt like old nappies. Now, it could have just been the piece of Taleggio that I got from the supermarket, and I'm pretty sure it probably was. If I had some fresh Taleggio from Italy, it probably would be very, very nice and taste amazing. I actually do have a Taleggio mould. I have a big square mould. I bought that like 5 years ago, planning to make Taleggio. So I'm thinking about it. I've got to find a recipe that will fit the mould that I've got. So yeah, it's on the list of things to make. I got so many cheeses to make. It's just unbelievable. I'll put that back on the list again. Taleggio, it's in the book. Artie Frog, have I or ever will I make canned blue? I did. I did make canned blue. It didn't turn out as camembert as I'd like. It was more blue, but it tasted amazing. There's a video for it somewhere there, Artie Frog. Um, 4Jet says, what's the first cheese I should make? I think Kim has already answered that with some quick mozzarella and some other links, ricotta, paneer. Yes, thank you, Kim, for that. Zoe says, would I ever make vegan cheese? Technically, it's not cheese, Zoe, unfortunately, because cheese is made with 3 simple ingredients: milk, salt, and rennet. Plus, you can add other stuff to it, of course, which makes a wicked cheese. Vegan cheese is made from nuts, as most people know, and there is a process of getting it to stick together, basically. But look, I think further down the line, when I start running out of cheese ideas, I'll probably make some vegan cheese. But there are some fantastic vegan cheese recipes on YouTube already, so I'd probably just be competing with that niche. Paul says, can hot tap water at the correct temperature for various recipes be added to wash the curds, or does it need to be purified and heated on the stove top? Thanks, boss. Yeah, so Paul, there's 2 schools of thought here. Some people do use non-chlorinated water. I don't know how they filter it out first. Use an inline filter, and that's how most commercial cheese making factories get away with using just water from the tap. They filter it first in line. What I do is I do boil the water before I wash curds with it, if I'm making things like Edam or Gouda or that sort of stuff. So I boil it, let it fall back down to the temperature I want it to be, and then add it to the cheese. And that way you avoid things like, in those sorts of cheeses, you'll find that it develops eyes for no reason at all. You don't add any Propionic Shamani or anything like that. There's another thing that you can add. I can't remember what it is. It's a derivative of egg white, and you can add it to the cheese, and it stops all the holes and the cracking. But yeah, look, I do purify it or just use pure water. I know it's fairly expensive, but if you've got a thing like a Brita filter or something like that, you can use that. You don't use a lot of water to wash the curds, so it probably will be fairly cheap. I find tap water when it has that chlorine in it, it tends to react with the cheese and make fissures and cracks and all that sort of stuff. Okay, Kim says 10 minutes ago, the vines look pretty though and provide great in the shade in the summer. Yeah, they do. I'm never going to cut the vines down, honey. I'll just prune them. Muscle Baby says, however, you made Gruyere. Yes, I have. There's a video on the channel, and Kim may even put the link if she can find it. There's another super chat. Chicken Nugget, thank you very much. Very nice. Is there a question to go with the super chat? Thank you. No? All right, that's fine. Thank you very much for your super chat. Really appreciate it. Okay, let's go back to the other questions. Where are we? Cora says, what would be a first cheese to make? Okay, Kim's already put those links. That's good. So check those videos out. You'll see that they're quite easy and simple to make. Probably wouldn't make the quick mozzarella straight away as the first cheese. Do ricotta, paneer, maybe halloumi, and then quick mozzarella. Okay, Chicken Nugget says, oh, the same person that just gave me a super chat. Thank you, Chicken Nugget. On your press, what do you have in the wood to prevent the middle thread rod from stripping the wood? There is an embedded nut in there. So they've drilled a hole that's bigger than the hole the pole goes through. There's a nut, so it screws on a thread on the nut and stops stripping the wood. However, it's a commercial. I can't really release the instructions on how to make that specific cheese press because it it's made by a third party. We get it in wholesale and sell it. But yeah, there's a nut embedded in the wood. Stops it all from flopping around as well. Okay, XPFC Wintergreen says, "Hail curd nerds." Right on. Another super chat. Goodness me. Annette Bustle. Thank you, Annette. Appreciate it. I'll just turn that flashing light off. There's your gold star. Thank you very much for your $2 super chat. Appreciate it. Okay. Chicken Nugget does have a question. Substitute for Thermophilic or a cheaper one? You can use yogurt as a substitute for Thermophilic. It does taste a little bit tangy. It depends on the yogurt. Make sure that you've got yogurt that is set in the pot, and it'll have live culture still, and that'll work. You'll need, for 10 litres of milk, about 250 millilitres or 1 cup of yogurt to effectively culture your milk. But you may find that cheese has a slight tang to it, depending on the style of yogurt that you've used, because different yogurts have different culture blends as well. So there you go, Chicken Nugget. Hopefully that works for you. Back to the other questions. Joseph says, "Hi Gavin, I just started watching your channel and think you're brilliant." Oh, shucks. Thanks, mate. I would like to ask your advice on keeping cheese lockers clean and hygienic. Thanks. The cheese locker, as in like the cheese fridge, I would think you're talking about there. So probably once every 2 months, probably a little bit longer. Mine doesn't get too bad. I wipe over the, there's another super chat. I wipe over the walls with vinegar, just straight vinegar out of the bottle with a squirty bottle, and that stops all the mold from building up. Okay, another super chat. This one's from Paul. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. $1.99 US, I think it is. It says, "Just a thanks for all your help." Appreciate it, Paul. There's your gold star. Thank you very much for your super chat. Anyway, back to the questions again. Love it. Love it. I love this community. Okay, yeah, so just white vinegar, spray it inside. Make sure the cheese is out first, and if you can see any mold spots, then that'll kill them off anyway. Patricia says, "Perhaps you can use some Merlot leaves for wrapping small cheeses." That is a great idea, Patricia. Why did I not think of that? I've actually got 4 vines out the back. I've got sultanas, which are beautiful eating grapes. Don't really have to dry them, just eat them, they're fine. I've got some ruby red. I don't really know what the variety is, but they're a seedless red grape. They have fairly large leaves as well. The Merlot has the smaller leaves. So I probably could use one of the other 2 edible grapes for wrapping up. That's, I don't know why I didn't think it. You could just blanch the leaves. It's autumn now. They're all falling off, so I really can't use them. But yeah, in the height of summer, I could certainly blanch some of the leaves, and that would be so easy to wrap cheeses in. Oh, that'd be just fantastic. I'll put that on the list. Vine leaves. That's going straight into the ideas bucket. Thank you so much, Patricia. Alan, "Hi Gavin, I've made 3 Colby cheeses 3 times now, and they each have flattened out. Any suggestions?" Yes, cut your curd cubes smaller. It'll release more whey. Press a bit firmer as well, maybe, and for longer once they're in the cheese press, and that'll stop it from flattening out. There's too much whey in the curds. That's why it happens. Okay. Okay, another super chat. $20. My goodness me. Thank you so much. There's your gold star as well, and a curd nerd lamp flashing away. Agina Rose. "Hi Gavin, I'm 2 months into a Romano cheese recipe, and it calls for oiling the cheese. Do I still need to worry about humidity after I oil it?" Yes, you do. Either that, oil it, let it dry out a little bit, and then vacuum pack it, as I mentioned. But if it's a fairly big wheel of cheese and you think it'll hold its moisture, then you still need to maintain the humidity at I think it's about between 80 and 90% relative humidity. Otherwise, the cheese is going to dry out. The surface of the rind's going to crack. If you can do it by another means like waxing or vacuum packing, once you think the rind is dried out enough, then it'll be fine. So do that instead. So I hope that helps. But thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Really appreciate it. Okay. Next question. No, we've already done that one from Jordan. Says out of questions. He's going to sign up to the Curd Nerd Academy, which is very cool. Thank you for that. Patricia says, are you making a special cheese for Easter? Wasn't planning to. Over the Easter weekend, I'm hoping to make at least 3 cheeses. I don't have a lot planned. I'm going to one day in the garden, one day cleaning up around the business to make sure all the stuff that we get delivered onto our loading bay, which is our front deck, cleared away, and one day in the garden. So that leaves me 2 days to make cheese. I am hoping to whip out 3 cheeses and maybe some taste test videos as well, which aren't as hard to make as obviously the cheese making videos. They take time. So I'm going to look at all the suggestions I've had over the last 6 months and see if I can find recipes for them, see which ones are not so complex, probably along the beginner line of cheeses, and try from there. So yeah, that'll be cool. So I am making cheeses over Easter, not for Easter. I have lots of cheeses in the cheese cave that I could probably try for Easter. Anyway, Jordan says, I tried a 1,000-day age Gouda. Oh my God, it's going to be a staple in my fridge from now on. I bet that was expensive, Jordan. Yes, so what's that? That's three and a bit years. No, just under 3 years. That is a pretty old Gouda, and it would taste amazing. I bet it's got the crystals in it, the whole lot. It would be absolutely fantastic. Ricky Donna says, hello, guys. Hello, Ricky. Lovely to see you on the chat. What time is it? Oh, goodness me. It's 17 past. We've got Adele from Algeria. I love cheese. I have 9 sheep at home. Each week I make cheese with their milk. Thank you so much for your information. That's all right, Adele. No problems at all. Leonardo, hello from South America. Hello, Leonardo. All jobs. Handyman, sir. Hi, Gavin. Will you make Appenzella cheese, which is a cheese that's washed. It's an Alpine-style cheese, washed in a wine and spices. I haven't as yet. It is very complicated to make, but I can always. It's on the list. It's on the list. No promises, but it's on the list. Okay. Pivot John says, having difficulty finding materials such as rennet and lipase in the UK. If you have any advice, it would be appreciated. Great content. Love you, Gavin. Thank you very much, Pivot John. We do, yes. Kim says we do ship to the UK, and the exchange rates do make it fairly good, because our dollar is dismal. It's a dismal dollar currency. Everybody who imports from us gets a good deal, I tell you. It's just the shipping, just keep it light. If you're only looking for rennet and lipase, then that'll be fairly light and it'll be cheaper shipping. But there are places in the UK where you can find rennet and stuff. Just Google it. I usually don't have too many problems finding places in other countries. Yeah, goat nutrition. That was the one I was thinking of, Steve. Thank you very much. That is one place. Kim's put up link for the My Sauce. Thank you very much, Kim. Dominique. G'day, Dominique. Notice how all the people in the chat, when you're looking, all their green names and a little picture of cheese after it, they're all YouTube members. They support the channel financially, and I really do appreciate all their membership, and all the patrons too. Unfortunately, they don't show on the chat, but there are patrons in the chat as well. Excuse me. There's only 8 minutes to go. I better get on with it. Dominic says, do you have any books or way to know what's supposed to be the pH level when making cheese? Funny you should say that, Dominic. All of the books that I've got, all the cheese making books, do not have pH levels in them at all. Yeah, all right. It's no drama. I can't do anything about that. Kim just told me there's some bad comments coming up on the news feed, and we can't do much about it. They don't get deleted from the feed over on the side there, unfortunately. But yeah, just ignore those. There's always naughty people. Yeah, so yeah, the books don't have any pH in them at all. The recipes are all time. So yeah, I haven't seen any professional books that do that sort of stuff. Okay. So anyway, back to the questions. Where am I? Kim's deleting stuff left, right, and centre, which is okay. Done that. Substitute chicken nuggets question. Mr. Mello, cheers from America. Cheers back to you. Ricky Donna says, can I make bacon cheese? I've seen recipes for bacon cheese or cheese with bacon in it. No specific type, but I have seen it. And we've got another super chat. Ooh. Stop flashing light. And there's your gold star. Annette, thank you so much for the $2. Appreciate it. And message retracted. So there's no message. Maybe there'll be one in a second. But anyway, I'll get back to the other stuff. Where are we? Past the other super chats. Thank you very much. Peter says, hello from North Ontario. Have you ever made Haza cheese? No, I haven't. I haven't made Haza cheese at all. There's so many cheese varieties. I'm getting lots of suggestions today, which is great as well. And not only does it help me out, it helps you guys out because you get to watch new exciting videos. Chicken Nuggets says, I have a 3-pound cheddar wheel on day 2 of air drying after pressing. I'm going to seal it with wax. Can I rub it with vinegar? First, to prevent mold. I have no cheese cave. Can I stick it in a cool closet? Yes, you can. Well, if the temperature's okay and it's waxed, that's fine. You won't have any issues with it. In fact, the very first cheese that I made, the first waxed cheese, which was Wensley Darwood Sage, I kept it in the linen closet, which was, at the time, it was middle of winter, it was about 13 degrees Celsius, and that turned out fantastic. No issues with that at all. You can rub it with vinegar. Just make sure that you wipe that back off again with a dry cloth so the rind is nice and dry before you wax the cheese. To prevent mold, what really happens is when you wax it, you kind of flash heat all the bacteria and the mold off of the surface of the cheese anyway. So that's why your cheese wax has got to be between 70 and 90 degrees Celsius when you dip it in there. Also, when you wax cheese, here's a tip. I don't know if I've shared this with anybody else, is that I always put the cheese in the freezer for 5 minutes before I wax the cheese, and the wax cools really fast, so you don't have sticky wax and all that sort of stuff. So I do that as well. Kim's put some information about hearts of cheese there. It's a low-fat curd, 1%. My goodness, okay. Thanks, Kim. Paris Finn, have you ever heard of the cheese race in England where they roll down wheels of cheese? Yes, I've seen videos of that. It's pretty cool. Adin Rose says, please make, it's a finished cheese. I think it's called coffee cheese. I have the recipe, and if you go and search on littlegreencheese.com down there, my blog, you'll actually find the recipe. And if you search for Finnish coffee cheese or something like that, then you'll find it. Yes, bread cheese, coffee cheese, it is nice. Where I'm up to, I've only got a few minutes left, so I'm just conscious of time. Cora says, thanks for the wonderful advice and suggestions. You're welcome. Chicken nugget. Recommended homemade cheese molds on the cheap. Online official molds are spendy or expensive. Yeah, look, I've seen people use plastic buckets, food grade buckets. You can get small ones, you can get large ones. People drill holes in them. Make sure that when you drill the holes in them, you sand off all the swarf. And yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. So yeah, it's not much you can do about that. But there's some suggestions. There are heaps of suggestions. Just go and have a look at homemade cheese molds or cheese baskets, and you shouldn't have too many problems. Edward says, "Hi Gavin, great job as always. Would love to work with sheep's milk, but having a juice of a time finding any here on the East Coast. Any thoughts?" No, there is actually a. If you go to Ricky Carroll's website, what's that called? Cheesemaking.com. There's actually a page where you can find raw milk. And I think there's some sheep's milk ones there, mainly US based. So go and check that out. Cheesemaking.com, and you should be okay. Ruth says that Gianniclas Caldwell's book does have info about pH. Yeah, that's the Mastering Artisan Cheese one, the more expensive one. It does have some suggestions on pH levels of your curd and all that sort of stuff. That's the only one I can think of, though. But yeah, good suggestion. Okay, where am I up to? Pretty close to the end. I think everybody's worn out. I am. Fricky says, is there a good crossover wine that works with most cheeses? I tried the 1,000-day-old white cheddar, and only Coca-Cola worked well with it. Yeah, I do have a list somewhere. I don't have it at hand of different wines for different cheeses. I probably could do a video actually about that. Don't want to get too drunk though on camera. It's not becoming. But that's a good suggestion on cheeses to try with different wines. And there are some pretty good matches. But yeah, I haven't got any at hand at the moment. Sherry says, have I ever tried pierogi with dry cottage cheese filling? Classic Mennonite dish served with cream gravy and farmer's sausage. Oh, sounds amazing. I have tried pierogi. I think they are made. I've got some relatives that come from the Ukraine, and I think it's the same thing. It's like a little pasty. Very nice. But yeah, I think that's what it is. Josh says, hey Gavin, are you ever going to make that maggot cheese? Sorry, Josh. No, I am not. All right, Kim's given me the wind up, so we'll finish the show here. Very close to 1 hour. Very cool. If you want to check out our kit supplies and equipment, pop over to that link, littlegreenworkshops.com.au. That's our store that Kim and I run. If you want to support us, there's YouTube memberships. There should be a join button under the video somewhere. And that's $4.99 a month, I think. And you get early video releases and cool stuff in the chat here, like you can see. Or little cheese icons and stuff. Or you can pop over to patreon.com, Greenier Gavin, which is my Patreon page. A lot of people support me there, and there's some cool perks that you get as well. Even cheese kits if you pay enough, of course. Merch link, pop over to Teespring. There's probably merch down the bottom underneath the video. T-shirts, cups like this one. T-shirts like this one. Blessed are the cheesemakers. Of course we are. We're all blessed. But you can pop over to teespring.com/stores, cheeseman.tv. There you go. I did get the Ukraine right for pierogi. Okay, cool. And that's it. Oh, don't forget, you can check out my podcast, audio only, over at littlegreencheese.com. There's about 85, I think, episodes, so you can check those out. I do one fairly irregularly, probably one a month now, so yeah, fairly cool. Anyway, thank you for watching, Curd Nerds. Happy Easter if you celebrate Easter or whatever you celebrate in your country and religion. Thank you very much for watching. Without your questions, there would be no show. So thank you very much. And thank you for all the people who donated via Super Chat and asked very good questions during the show. All right, see you later, everybody. And we will see you next time, Curd Nerds.